Hello everyone, this is Mikey Garcia.
Yo, it's your boy, the odd guy himself, Malik King Scott.
Hi, I'm Charlie Edwards.
This is Fast Eddie Chambers, and you're listening to the BoxHard podcast with my main man, Joey Coastman.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 21 of the BoxHard podcast. I'm your host, Joey Coastman. I'm joined, as always, by Ayaz Sumra. Ayaz, how you doing?
I'm good, Joey. How are you?
Very good, very good. Now, okay, this is episode 21. There's really not much to review. There's a lot to preview, by the way, but there's not really much to review. There was only 3 or 4 fights we're going to mention. There really wasn't much boxing, and there hasn't been for the last couple of weeks. Just something I want to just tell everybody, if you don't know, before we get into part 1, is that there's an interview that I myself have done with one of the best, in my opinion, one of the best in a lot of people's opinions, heavyweights of all time, Larry Holmes. That's only available on YouTube. If you go on YouTube, you can type in BoxHard Podcast. You'll find our channel. All of our episodes that get uploaded to SoundCloud are also on YouTube and various other sites. But YouTube, you can find everything. We're not actually going to be putting the Larry Holmes interview on SoundCloud. It's purely going to be on YouTube. So head over to YouTube and watch that. It's quite good. It's an interview we did last week over the phone. And it's an interesting interview because it's one that I don't think he's really done any interviews for the past couple of years. They're hard to find. So head over there and check that out as soon as possible. Okay, so we're going to review a couple of fights now, and then we're going to bring on our first guest on this week's show. We're just going to, keep part 1 nice and compact, and then we're going to bring part 2, and then in part 2 we are going to be breaking down all the fights that are taking place this weekend, and trust me, there's a lot of them. Okay, we're going to start with a clash that took place last weekend. Fedor Chudenov against Felix Sturm. Now, this is his second defence. Of course, he won the title when he faced Sturm back last year. He then defended it against our very own Frank Buglioni. And this was the rematch, the rematch, obviously, between Sturm and Chudenov. Now, Sturm he seemed to sort of start fast, but a combination, and I really mean combinations upon combinations of body shots, seemed to slow Sturm down going into the latter part of the fight. Fedor Chudenov, who I picked to win this fight, I thought he may have even knocked out Felix Sturm. It ended up going to the decision after 12 rounds, and a majority decision was awarded in Felix Sturm's favour. So now Felix Sturm, the only 5-time world champion from Germany. So a massive achievement for him, but anybody who's watched the fight, it was a bit fishy. A lot of people are giving it to Chudenov. I think maybe 95% of people think Chudenov should have won that fight, including me and Ayaz. I think you're with Chudenov as well.
I think Chudenov won the fight.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It was clear. It was a daylight robbery. A lot of people are bashing the German board, and it's all going a bit crazy. But it seems really unfair for Chudenov because a lot of people don't really look into it. They don't really think about Chudenov. This was his dream to become a world champion. Fair enough, he did become a world champion, and he really should have kept the title, and he was robbed. And it's a horrible feeling because now he's got to take a step back and have to fight up to the level again and hopefully win another title. But he really should be the world champion still. And Sturm, he's now going to be viewed as one of the weakest champions in the division. Lots and lots of people are talking about him now. We're hearing stuff about Paul Smith wanting to fight him. We're hearing stuff about Jamie Cox wanting to knock him out. So a lot of stuff that is attracted. We're going to move off of that fight now. Francesco Pianetta was on the undercard. This is the cancer survivor. He was in a heavyweight contest against Hassan Olaki. Now, it was only scheduled for 6, but Pianetta got the TKO in round 5. So Pianetta now 32 wins, 2 losses, and 1 draw. Elsewhere on the same night, Jesse Magdaleno, he was out in Arizona. He got his 23rd career win with a KO in the 7th round over Ray Perez. So Jesse Magdaleno now 23-0. Also in America, Diego De La Hoya picked up a fourth round KO. He defeated Arturo Badillo. Diego De La Hoya was actually cut on his left eye, which was caused by an accidental head clash in round 2. Badillo was down and out from a body shot in round 4, and that was all that she wrote. There's only one other fight really to mention that took place from last weekend as well, and that fight is one that took place in West Midlands. Sergei Rabchenko, he was out and he picked up a third round victory. It was only scheduled for 6. He fought a guy called Miguel Aguilar, who had a record of 11 wins and 21 losses. So a losing record. It was just a showcase fight for Rabchenko, and it really ended up being a showcase performance. So, Miguel Aguilar, he actually retired in the third round. At the end of the third round, he was down in the first round from a left to the body, and he was down 3 times in the third round until his corner decided that they didn't want to see any more. So Rabchenko now 27-1 as he looks to get into world title contention in the 154 division. And that's really it for the review side of things. Again, as I said, there's a lot to preview, so stay tuned for that. We're going to bring on our first guest now. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the forgotten man here in the super bantamweight division in Britain is Kid Galahad. Kid, welcome to the show.
I'm happy to be on your show, pal. How are you?
Yeah, very good, very good. The first thing I want to ask you, where have you been? What have you been up to? The boxing scene in Britain's missing you big time.
I've had a few issues and I've been dealing with, and I should be back very, very soon. And I'm ready to go back where I left off.
Absolutely, because how long left of the ban is there to serve?
I'm not too sure yet. Hopefully, before the end of this week, I find some news. And I could be back sooner than people expect.
Oh, that'd be excellent. The first real question I've got for you is, how frustrating is it to not be in the mix right now amongst Quigg and Frampton?
You know what? I don't really look at it. I just get on with it. It's just one of them things you got to just deal with. You can't let things get to you. You know what I mean? Everyone has the time, and my time will come.
Okay, positive thoughts. Being out of the spotlight for a while and sitting back, sort of watching boxing from like a fan's perspective almost, yeah. Has that been beneficial to you in any way at all?
To a certain extent, yeah. But it's not like I've been out of the gym or been spun around or nothing. I've been improving on my stuff that I'm not good at in the ring, and just developing as a fighter, mentally and physically.
Yeah, because what I was going to ask you is, with no fight in the pipeline sort of thing, how intense is the training that you're doing at the moment compared to what you would be, when you're usually ticking over in between fights?
If you ask anyone about me, I train when I train, I don't train half hard. I train like every session like it's my last session. That's why I train. I don't go halfway. I either just go at it. If I train, I train. I don't go there just to make numbers in the gym or just to take over a job. I go in there to train, to get better, to develop.
Are you still with Mick Hennessy?
Yeah, I'm with my, obviously I just leave all that side to my manager John Ingle. So wherever he decides the best option is for me, then I take that option. Okay.
Now, of course, there's a lot of fights going on around you right now, in your division and in some other divisions as well. An old foe of yourself, Jazza Dickens, I know that you've been sparring with him, giving him some work today. He's fighting Rigondeaux, of course. Now, this is a massive fight. What good does this bring Jazza, in your opinion, Barry?
This is a win-win situation for Jazza, because people don't realise how good Jazza is. Jazza's a lot better than people think he is. Me personally, people think that Rigondeaux's going to go in there and wipe the floor with Jazza. Believe me, he ain't going to go in there and wipe the floor with someone like Jazza. Jazza's going to go in there and give himself a good account. And you got to remember, Rigondeaux is getting on now. I think he's 35 or 36 this year. Jazza's 25-year-old. He's got youth on the side. He's hungry. He's determined. So you never know. Father Time could catch up with Rigondeaux in this fight. You never know.
Now, I know it's too early to sort of start searching for opponents and all that at the moment, but is Rigondeaux someone you'd love to get in there with once you become more active, of course?
Yeah, of course it is. I personally believe if anyone's going to go in there and take Rigondeaux out in style, it's going to be someone like me. That's my personal opinion. I personally believe. I don't believe anyone this way could deal with him the way I could deal with him. There's fighters like Jazz has always got a chance of beating him. You never know. Boxing, one shot could change the whole game. Change the whole fight. You never know. And if he's taking Jazza lightly, then you don't know. Jazza could go out there and wipe the floor with him. That's my personal opinion. I believe I could be Rigondeaux better than a Scott Quigg or a Carl Frampton. That's my personal opinion.
And you're entitled to that opinion. Of course, a good friend of yourself, Kell Brook. He is sort of missed out on the Khan fight. Khan's gone different ways and he's now fighting Canelo. It kind of took everyone by surprise. How do you see that fight going, kid?
Do you know what? I see Khan doing a lot better than people think he is, than they think he's going to do. People think, because Canelo's a lot bigger, he's got a lot more weight advantage, that he's going to go in there and wipe the floor with Khan. Khan is actually in a win-win situation because no matter what, if he goes in there and gives himself a good account, people are going to say, oh yeah, I didn't expect that of Khan. He's better than he thinks than he is. And then if he does lose, people are going to just turn around and say, oh well, he wasn't big enough for that weight. If he wins, then he's in the big time. If he does win, no matter what he does, there's no bigger fight out there for him than the Kell Khan fight. No matter what American he fights, there's no bigger fight for him than the Kell Khan.
If that fight does come off, kid, how excited would you be to see that one finally, Brook Khan?
Oh, honestly, I personally believe Kell Brook is the best welterweight out there. He's the biggest and hardest hitting welterweight probably I've ever seen. And I honestly believe Kell Brook could go on to become light middle and middleweight world champion. I can't see anyone beating Kell Brook anytime soon. The only person who'll beat him is himself, which I don't think he will.
Wow. That's a big statement, but yeah, of course, I know his talent's undoubted. To be totally honest, the way he went to America and dealt with Sean Porter. I know you was out there with him, and it was brilliant for British boxing.
I'm telling you, no one has seen the best of Kell Brook yet. Honestly, when I see him in the gym, sometimes I look and I think, fucking hell. When I see him sparring for his kids and the way he's dealing with them with ease, and I just think, fucking hell, you know what I mean? Honestly, no one's seen the best of Kell Brook. The better fight you put Kell Brook in with, the better Kell Brook you'll see. He's a fighter, whatever level you put him in with, he'll make sure he's just above that. You know what I mean? Me personally, I've never seen anyone as talented as Kell Brook. You know what I mean? I've seen him not train for maybe 2-3 months to come into the gym, and it looks like he hasn't even. It looks like he's never been away from the gym. Do you know what I mean? He'll come in and spar, and it's like, fuck, you know. Honestly, I've never seen anyone as talented as Kell Brook with my own eyes. I've seen him spar people in America, all over the world, and the way he deals with people, it's unbelievable. He's the best talent we've got in the UK right now, the best world champion, and the most talented athlete we've got in boxing.
It's actually a question I was going to ask you. I was actually going to ask you who's the best pound for pound in Britain right now.
If you're going to ask me who's had the best win, that's a different thing. If you say to me, talent-wise, I personally believe Kell Brook's the most talented athlete we've got in the boxing world. Yeah, in the world. I'm not just saying in the UK, I'm saying the world. But the best world champion who had the best win in the last 20 years, probably the best win ever in history, is Tyson Fury against Klitschko.
That was a phenomenal win.
The way he done it as well. He went to the guy's backyard and mentally beat him, and then physically went in there and beat him. And I personally believe he's the best heavyweight in the world.
Yeah, it was phenomenal. So you put in. I mean, what do you think about these people? Of course, you got Joshua now going into a world title fight. A lot of people talking on Twitter and stuff that Joshua would make easy work of Fury. What's your opinion on that? No way.
Oh, no way. I'm telling you now. To who Joshua's been fighting, to Tyson Fury, to any heavyweight in the world, Tyson Fury Tyson Fury's on his own level. There's no heavyweight who you can spar or whatever who's on the same level anywhere near as Tyson Fury. There's nothing Tyson Fury can't do in that ring. Look what he did for me personally. You know the clip where Tyson beat?
Yeah, Vladimir. Yeah.
Vladimir, do you think AJ could beat him?
Not right now, in my opinion, no.
No, not right now. Do you think David A beat him? No, David A won't beat him because he's already beat David A and he'll probably do the same against David A. Could anyone out there beat him? No. There's only Tyson Fury who would beat him. The way he beat him as well, it made it look like it made Vladimir, whatever his name is, it made him look like nothing. I was there ringside, and honestly, fucking hell, it was unbelievable what he was doing in the ring. Things that a heavyweight shouldn't do.
It was excellent for British boxing. It really, really was.
Yeah.
And another thing I wanted to ask you, of course, this ban, it was set for 2 years. By the sounds of what you're saying, it sounds like it may be shortened a bit. Will you be coming back at super bantam after being out that long?
Yeah, of course I will. How long have I been out now? 14 months.
Yeah, I mean, of course, like that sort of goes to show that, you know, how much training you've been doing, because there's some fighters, I'm not going to drop names, but of course you got guys who stay out of the gym for a month or two, suddenly they're ballooning up. But to be out of the ring for 14 months and to be maintaining, you know, you're close to your fight weight, should we say, that goes to show that you really have been in that gym.
Not,
you're an official gym rat.
Yeah, it's not just that. It's just the worst thing I could have done is stop training and enjoy myself for the next year and a half. And then 6 months before a fight, think, oh yeah, I'm starting to fight again. Let me start training again. But that year and a half of me enjoying myself and fucking about would have caught up with me in the ring. So when I get back into the ring now, everything I'm telling you I've been doing, I'm more developed as a fighter. I've been working on things that I'm not good at, working things that I am good at. Been doing everything. When I get back in the ring, you're gonna be like, oh fucking hell, he's come back better. I've made that time count. I'm just been messing about like a normal fight would do. I've made sure that time I did something useful with it.
Yeah, that's fantastic stuff for yourself, of course. And the last question I got for you now, and this is the question that I really want to hear the answer to. Who wins on Saturday, Quigg or Frampton, and why?
I believe Frampton. I think Frampton's a more well-rounded fighter. I think he's better than Quigg in every department. I personally can't see Quigg winning. I don't know what you can see. For some reason, I've got a feeling it might end up being a draw. For some reason.
That's a strange prediction.
It could be. You never know, because Quigg's already had 2 draws.
Yeah.
But when he boxed that Cuban, I personally thought he lost it.
You're entitled to your own opinion.
I don't know what you thought, but I personally thought he lost by 2 rounds.
Yeah.
But you never know. I can't see Quigg beating. The only way I can see Quigg beating Frampton, if Frampton goes in there guns blazing and gets caught with a shot he shouldn't have got caught with. But I know Frampton's not a stupid fighter. I know Shane McGuigan is not a stupid trainer. He's not going to go in there and tell him, yeah, you need to go in there. They're going to stick to the boxing, step out, hit Quigg and step out, hit Quigg and step to the side, because Quigg won't know what to do. And I personally believe he'll make the fight look a lot easier than it should be.
But no doubt it's definitely one that we're all going to be glued to the TV sets and watching.
Yeah, of course. Even I'm excited to see them both fight. Everyone should be excited, because we've got 2 world champions from Britain fighting. Everything's on the line, and they're going to go in there and give it the all. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
The only way it can be disappointing if one of them does what Orville Harrison or David A do. Like when Orville Harrison went in there and said, I'm going to do this and do that, then got in the ring, didn't do fuck all. Or when David A said the exact same about when he boxed that Klitschko, and everyone paid to watch him, and then he fucking bottled it and then blamed it on his little toe. We don't want that, do we? We want people would give their little toe to be in them big fights. So when you get to that level and you get opportunity, you have to make sure it counts. You got to go in there and give it your all.
Okay, kid. Well, listen, thank you very much for giving us a bit of your time. Of course, we're going to be looking for your return to the ring. We cannot wait for that. We cannot wait till you're back in the picture.
Well, you keep your eyes and ears open this week or next week, because there could be some good news coming out very, very soon.
Right, that's an exclusive. You heard it here first. Thank you very much for coming on the show, kid, and we'll speak to you again soon.
All right then, mate. Take care. Thank you.
Okay, now it's time for part 2. Now, this part is called the preview part, where we preview the forthcoming fights this weekend. We're actually going to start with something that should be happening on the Friday. I'm looking at the Friday schedule now on BoxRec, and there's nothing listed there for Billy Dibb, but apparently Billy Dibb, he was on the show, of course, a couple of weeks back. A really touching interview. If you missed it, you should go and check that out. He is supposed to be fighting on the 26th of February, which is the Friday. but there seems to be nothing listed. So hopefully that fight still goes ahead. We'll have to look out for that. That's really it for Friday. So we're going to move straight over to Saturday. Okay, we're actually going to start over in Germany. Our very own Ola Afolabi faces Marco Huck. Now, these guys have faced each other 3 times before. On 2 occasions, Marco Huck got the win, and on 1 occasion, it was a draw. So this is going to be the 4th time they fought each other. It's a little bit like a Pacquiao-Marquez type scenario, but it's in the cruiserweight division. It's actually for the IBO World Cruiserweight title, which is a title that's not really in the top 4 titles in the sanctioning body food chain, to be totally honest. So it's really a title that's kind of not classed as a world title. But anyway, Ola Afolabi, this is his chance to try and get that win over Marco Huck. Of course, Captain Marco Huck has won 2 of the 3, and of course the draw was there as well. But Marco Huck in his last couple of performances hasn't really looked too great. He had a close-ish kind of fight with a guy called Mirko Larghetti. That was in 2014. And of course, he's only fought once since that fight in 2014. It was almost 1 year to that day. So really, it's kind of been... He hasn't been in the ring, of course, since August of last year, but 2015, but the time before that was August of 2014. So he hasn't really been extremely active. And his last fight, he got knocked out in the 11th round and lost his WBO World Cruiserweight title to Krzysztof Glowacki, who is a real good fighter. Of course, he's 25-0 with 16 knockouts. He's probably the best of all the cruiserweights at the moment. So this should be an intriguing clash, and I really do hope that Ola Afolabi can actually get the win here. Of course, Ola Afolabi now boasting a record of 22 wins, 4 losses and 4 draws. And Marco Huck, 38 wins, 3 losses and 1 draw. There's only one fight on BoxRec announced on the undercard, and that's Cecilia Brackus. Of course, that's the lady who's 27-0. She's the world WBC, WBA, IBF and WBO welterweight champion. Of course, she's also got the IBO. So she's got WBC, WBA, IBF, IBO and WBO. All the titles basically in the welterweight division. She is a lady that is also sharing Vladimir Klitschko's trainer, Jonathan Banks. He looks after her. So she's in a fight against a lady called Chris Namus, who has a record of 21-3. So Cecilia Brackus, a real good champion in the female side of the sport, which is interesting to see. I like that. I kind of like that. This card is actually, it's got a world title fight, a men's world title fight, and it's also got a women's world title fight. So it's good to sort of mix it up a little bit. We're going to move over from Germany now. We're going to go straight over to York Hall. There's a little card that we should mention over there. Dan Woodgate, top of the bill, 13-2, his record. This is for the vacant Southern Area Cruiserweight title. He faces Wadi Camacho. Wadi Camacho with a record of 14 wins and 5 losses. On that undercard, of course, we spoke to him last week. Ben Jones, 20 wins, 5 losses and 1 draw. His opponent still hasn't been announced yet, but that should be a good contest. And now we're going to go over to the big one in Manchester Arena. Of course, it was the MEN, it was the Phones for You Arena. I'm not even sure what it's called now. Carl Frampton tops the bill against Scott Quigg. Carl Frampton, 21-0. He puts his IBF World Super Bantamweight title on the line. He faces Scott Quigg, 31-0 with 2 draws. He puts his WBA World Super Bantamweight title on the line. Ayaz, talk to me about this fight.
Bro, this is going to be a cracker for the super bantamweight division. I reckon, in my opinion, I'm going for a Frampton win by unanimous decision. I'll tell you why. I like Quigg, yeah. He's got good punching power, but I reckon Frampton's got the brains, and I reckon he'll box and move him.
Well, there's a Frampton points win has got some good odds in the betting shops, but it's such a tough fight. It's a really tough fight. I don't think I'm going to be able to pick it. I'm not really one of these people that changes their mind all the time. I'm not going to lie. I had my mind completely set on Carl Frampton for a long time. Seeing Scott Quigg lately, he's absolutely on fire at the minute. And the momentum is definitely with Scott Quigg. Carl Frampton's last fight, he didn't look too great. It's a really pick 'em fight here. It's a real pick 'em fight. It's really hard to split these two. Of course, both of them, You know, both of them unbeaten. Somebody's has got to go, although that Scott Quigg's also got the 2 draws. But this is a real massive fight, and it's great to see a unification fight. Doesn't matter that it's in the super bantamweight division. Doesn't matter if it's in the heavyweight division, whatever division. It's fantastic to see a unification fight on British soil. So this should be an absolute cracker. The power, who's got the edge on the power? I don't know. Scott Quigg, he can really bang, but I think his power is underrated. Carl Frampton, he can really bang. A lot of people know about his power. It's just going to be an absolutely intriguing fight. Of course, it's on Sky Box Office. It's, you know, you've got to just tune into this fight. It's going to be absolutely incredible. On the undercard of that, for the vacant WBC silver super bantamweight title, so the same division, Gavin McDonnell faces Jorge Sanchez. Now, of course, we had Gavin McDonnell's trainer on the show a couple of shows back. That was Dave Caldwell. He was talking to us about Jorge Sanchez, their opponent. Jorge Sanchez, 15-0. Okay, 15-0 with 9 knockouts. As Dave Caldwell said, any footage that they've seen of him, he looks an absolute beast. All his fights have actually been in Panama. So he's coming over here. He's making the long journey to face our very own Gavin McDonnell, a friend of the show. Gavin McDonnell, 14-0 with 2 draws. Jorge Sanchez, of course, 15-0. So, of course, this is going to be a massive fight for Gavin McDonnell. If he wins this fight, because this is actually an eliminator for the WBC title, if he wins this fight, it's not a final eliminator, it's just an eliminator. So he'll be on track to get in that WBC shot, which is absolutely brilliant for him. Hopefully he can join his brother Jamie on the world title scene. Isaac Lowe's also on the bill. He faces Marco McCulloch. Isaac Lowe, 11-0 with 1 draw. And Marco McCulloch, 14-2. This is for the vacant Commonwealth featherweight title. Also on the bill, we had him on last week's show, Miles Shinkwin, 12-0. He faces Hosea Burton, 14-0. Again, somebody's has got to go. This is for the vacant British light heavyweight title. Also on the bill, Ryan Burnett, 12-0. He faces off against Anthony Setul, 21-4. This is for the vacant WBC international bantamweight title. Also, good friend of the show and good friend of mine, Charlie Edwards. He's in a 10-rounder. This is against Luke Wilton. Again, this is an eliminator for the British title. Charlie Edwards, 6-0. Luke Wilton, 16-4 with the 1 draw. Conrad Cummins also on the bill. He, at the moment, is 7-0 with the 1 draw. He faces Giga Nidaridze, 18 wins, 7 losses and 1 draw. That's only an 8-rounder in the middleweight division. Josh Taylor also on the bill. He looks to move to 4-0. Marcus Morrison, he's also on the bill. He looks to move to 9-0. And a fella named Scott Fitzgerald is making his debut in a 4-rounder against Ben Heap. So a nice bit of exposure for him on his first fight of his pro career. We're now going to move over to America in California. Leo Santa Cruz, he tops the bill against Kiko Martinez. Now, of course, British fans will be very familiar with Kiko Martinez. Carl Frampton had 2 fights with him. He beat him twice, and Scott Quigg absolutely demolished him in round 2. So that was that fight was a fantastic fight. Since that fight, Kiko Martinez has been back. He's had 3 fights, if I'm not mistaken. All of them have took place in Spain. 2 knockouts, 1 went the distance. He's back in the world title mix. Leo Santa Cruz, 31-0 with 1 draw, puts his WBA Super World Featherweight title on the line. Kiko Martinez now 35 wins and 6 losses. How do you see this fight going, Ayaz? In my opinion, I think that Leo Santa Cruz wins this quite comfortably. I think Kiko Martinez is over the hill. Of course, the real fight in these lower weight class divisions is Carl Frampton and Scott Quigg, or Scott Quigg and Carl Frampton. It's not this fight. This is pretty much Kiko Martinez. This is pretty much their leftovers, and Leo Santa Cruz is chewing it up. Do you think he gets an easy win here?
Yeah, you know what? I'll tell you something. Yeah, I reckon Leo Santa Cruz beats him easily. I even reckon that Leo Santa Cruz knocks him out.
Yeah, you've probably got a point there. Of course, Leo Santa Cruz, he's one of the best fighters in the world. So I think he should make easy work of Kiko Martinez. I want to mention a heavyweight clash on the undercard of that fight. Gerald Washington, 16-0 with 1 draw. He faces Oscar Rivas, who's 18-0. This should be a really, really cracking contest. Oscar Rivas 18-0 with 13 knockouts, and Gerald Washington 16-0 with the one draw with 11 knockouts. This is a real crossroads fight, a really, really good fight. It's only scheduled for 10 rounds, but everybody should keep an eye on that one and see what happens with the result of that. That's going to be an absolute barnstormer, which has got the potential to steal the show. We're also going to move over to another massive fight in MSG in Madison Square Garden, New York. Terence Crawford tops the bill against Hank Lundy. So Terence Crawford now 27-0. He faces Henry Lundy or Hank Lundy, who has a record of 26 wins, 5 losses and 1 draw. Terence puts his WBO World Super Lightweight title on the line. What a fight. What a fighter that Terence Crawford is, and what a fight this is shaping up to be, Ayaz. How much are you looking forward to this one?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to Terence Crawford fighting. I reckon he's a pound for pound boxer in my opinion. He's very good, and to be honest, in this fight, I see Crawford knocking out Hank Lundy.
Yeah, to be honest, look, I'd have to say I do too. A lot of people are making a lot of noise about the fact that Hank Lundy, he's only won 4 of his last 8 fights. He's lost 4 of them as well. So we're going to start from the first loss in 2012. He lost a majority decision to Raimundo Beltran. He then went on to face Victor Postel. He lost unanimously after 12 rounds. He then picked up 2 or 3 wins in a row against really opponents that I don't really know too much about. And then he went on to face Thomas Delorme. He lost a split decision. And then he went on to lose a technical decision to Mauricio Herrera. So only 4 wins in his last 8 fights. But I'm sure he'll be really training hard because he's looking forward to this fight and he would love to take some of that limelight, some of that spotlight for himself and take it away from Terence Crawford, who definitely is in my top 5 pound for pound at the moment. Definitely. We're going to move down the bill. Felix Verdejo's also on the bill, 19-0 he is right now. He faces a guy called William Silva, who's 23-0. This should be another really good fight. The majority of this guy's fights, William Silva, have really took place in South America, mainly in Brazil. He is a Brazilian native. But again, 23 wins, 14 knockouts. Could be a real dangerous fight here for Felix Verdejo. But Felix Verdejo, of course, the favourite here. 19 wins, 14 by knockout. And he's also actually announced his next fight. He's going to be fighting on the 16th of April. So I'm not sure if that's a wise decision to really be sort of planning your next fight date when you've got to face someone who's unbeaten in 23 fights and has a better record than yourself. But anyway, best of luck to those guys. Also on that bill, Mike, yes indeed, Reed. We had him on the show last week. Really, really nice guy. 17-0 he is right now with 10 knockouts. He faces Marco Antonio Lopez. 24 wins, 8 losses. 15 of those 24 wins by knockout. That's going to really be a good fight for Mike Reed. Fantastic exposure as well, being on Terence Crawford's undercard. And he did express that Terence Crawford is his favourite fighter in world boxing at the moment. So fantastic for him. And that's really it. I've kind of whizzed through it as quick as I could. I'm going to move on to the next guest on this week's show in a moment. I just wanted to make quick work of that. But there was a lot of fights. As you can tell, I was kind of rapping through the whole thing. So loads and loads of fights to look forward to. Mainly, of course, the Terence Crawford fight, the Leo Santa Cruz fight, and the Scott Quigg fight with Carl Frampton, and also the Ola Afolabi fight. It's really going off. America, Germany, UK. You've absolutely got to be glued to a TV set. Maybe even 2 or 3 TV sets. Get the one on upstairs, get the one on downstairs, do the split screen, get the laptop out. You've got to watch all these fights. It's going to be absolutely tremendous this week. Okay, now it's time for our second guest on this week's show. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome, fighting on the undercard of Leo Santa Cruz and Kiko Martinez, it's hard-hitting heavyweight, Mr. Gerald Washington. Gerald, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
No problem. My pleasure. I just wanted to clear one thing up. I've seen a few on various different sites. Sometimes you're sort of at 6'5", sometimes you're at 6'6". Which is your real height?
I'm 6'5 3/4.
Oh, okay. So it's a bit confusing. All right, no worries. Okay, so you're fighting, of course, on the undercard of Leo Santa Cruz and Kiko Martinez. You're facing a
Yes.
guy called Oscar Rivas, who again, 18-0 unbeaten. Your record, of course, 16-0 with the one draw. So somebody's O has got to go. Over here, I'm not sure if you're aware of it, but over in the UK, you're the underdog in the betting shop. I'm sure that you're not really bothered about the numbers, but what do you know about your opponent, Gerald?
I just know he's a big, strong guy. He's a knockout guy, and he has a lot of amateur experience, and he's coming to fight, and that's what I look forward to. I compare him to Amir Mansour. Only an orthodox fighter.
Yeah, I just wanted to touch on that fight that you had with Amir. Of course, he went on to fight Dominic Brazil. Did you manage to see that fight at all?
Yeah, I was sitting right there ringside.
What did you think of that fight?
I thought it was a great fight for Dominic Brazil. That was a great victory for him. He was having a very hard time. Amir Mansour was landing a lot of shots on him, and he was dictating the fight, and he knocked him down and was able to score at will. He just got a little over aggressive. He got tired, and Dominic Brazil was able to capitalize and withstand a storm and come back and stop him.
Of course, the only blemish on your record was the draw with Amir Mansour. Is that a fight that you'd look to get in the future to try and right the wrong?
I definitely feel I won that fight, hands down. I feel like I dictated all the rounds. I landed all the punches. He couldn't land any significant shots on me. He couldn't, not at all. If you look back at that fight, so I definitely feel I won the fight. The judges, I understand what I did wrong and why the judges may have scored it the way they did, but in the rules of boxing, it's the person that causes the most damage and lands the most punches is the person that's supposed to win the point. And I did that. I felt I did that. But I definitely feel like just to clear that blemish off the record would be good for me. But I don't feel any kind of way about the fight. I definitely feel I won the fight.
Okay, yeah, it's good that it's not sort of dawning on yourself. Of course, you're with Al Haymon, and Al Haymon probably has the best reputation in boxing for no nonsense, for moving all of his fighters through in brilliant opportunities. What is the plan for you, providing you get through your next fight, Gerald?
I don't know what the plan is. I just know I need to take care of Oscar Rivas and to clear that'll do some that'll work in a positive light for me to clear up my name with the Amir Mansour fight. You're only as good as your last fight. And once I show the corrections I made and the improvements that I made from my last fight to this one, I'll be able to move on and lock down another fight. And then hopefully I'll be in the championship talks sometime soon. I know we have Charles Martin getting ready to fight Anthony Joshua in April, and that's gonna be a great fight for him. I'm friends with Charles Martin and Amir Mansour. And Dominic Brazil. And I'm very proud of those guys, and I'm proud of him, man, for winning that world title.
Yeah, that's something I did actually want to touch on. How do you see that fight going between Charles Martin and Anthony Joshua? Of course, it's his first defense. It's over in the UK. It's over in London. How do you see that fight playing out?
I saw something that said Charles Martin, he calls himself the black sheep because he takes the risk. He doesn't take the path that everybody else does. He's different from everyone else. And I like to say that it takes a lot of courage and guts to go over there into somebody else's hometown, and when everything's laid against you, and to go out there and to defend your title. I give him a lot of respect for that, and he deserves whatever comes his way. He said he wants to be the star with all the glitz and glamour, and I hope that he can go out there and achieve that. I know Anthony Joshua is a big, strong guy. He's a gritty guy, you can see from his last fight, and he has boxing skills, and he's big and strong. But so is Charles, and it's going to be a great matchup. And everybody that's 6'5" and 250 pounds, 50 pounds can knock anybody out. And Charles is a smart, clever guy, and he's pretty crafty. So I look forward to that matchup.
Yeah, absolutely. I second that one. For those that don't know, Gerald, what are some of the names that you've sparred with on the heavyweight scene?
I learned a lot from, I worked with Malik Scott, Dominic Brazil, Latif Coyote. He's been a great, tremendous help for me. I sparred with Brian Jennings. I sparred with Mike Perez, Glasscoff. I sparred with Joey DeWecco, Avery Gibson. I sparred with a lot. There's a lot of guys that I get work from that come to my gym here, and we all just mix it up and we learn from each other.
Okay, some serious names there. Of course, the heavyweight division is a really, really sought after division in the United States. In your opinion, what is your top three heavyweights aside from yourself right now in the USA?
Well, Deontay Wilder.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
he's definitely he's took the title and he's improving with every time he steps out. Charles Martin is a world champion, and he didn't get to really show too much in his last fight, but I've been in the ring with him, and I know how good he is, and I know and he deserves that shot. And who else? I'm Malik Scott. He's a crafty veteran. He's a very skilled and very technical. He's a pretty boxer.
Yeah, definitely. Is there anyone you'd like to fight out of any of the American heavyweights, or maybe just any heavyweight from any country in general? Anyone that you've got your eye on?
I look forward to mixing it up with all the top heavyweights. United States. I definitely feel that I should fight all the best fighters from here, and then once we do that, then I like to cross over there and mix it up with the guys from the UK and all over the world, the best guys, the Alexander Povekins and all the best guys of the world.
Okay, excellent stuff. I've got my partner on the call. He's just got a couple of questions for you, and then that should be it, Gerald. So I'll pass you over to him now. Ayaz, if you bring yourself in.
Hello, Gerald. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing good as well, thank you.
Awesome.
Gerald, from your opinion, if Wilder and Povetkin fought, who wins this fight and why?
I think that a lot of people are giving it to Povetkin, but I think Deontay Wilder has grown and developed into a beautiful boxer, and he's getting better and more seasoned with every time he's out there. I think his fights, his few previous fights have helped him a lot. I know Povetkin, he comes to bring it, and he's a hard nosed guy, and he's a really gritty guy, and he's not going to be Deontay Wilder's not going to be able to press on him and hold him down the way Vladimir Klitschko was, but I think he knows how to use his jab good enough, and I think he can stay away from him, and land enough shots to keep him at bay. Mm-hmm. So I think Deontay Wilder has the advantage in that fight.
Okay. Who would you like to fight in the future?
I would like to fight. I just hope that my next few fights will put me in line to fight. For a world title. Whoever is in that position, whether it's Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder, Charles Martin, or whoever it may be. I look forward to fighting the best and being the best world champion out there, and I feel that the world champion should fight the best. I feel that if he's the best in the world, he's the world champion. I feel that he should not be scared to fight anybody. That he should put it on the line, and I think that's what makes champions great.
Okay, and one last question. Obviously, Fury's going to be fighting Klitschko in a rematch. Do you who wins that fight and why?
I think Tyson Fury has his number and he has the confidence to go in there now. I think. I suffered from some of the same thing that Vladimir Klitschko suffered from in the Tyson Fury fight. He's a very defensive fighter. Now he's gonna have to change gears and just and I hope that he can realize that. And I'm sure he's a veteran. He's been in all kind of fights. I know he's gonna have to be more aggressive. He can't let Tyson Fury taunt him and fool him with all those feints and holding him off with all that posturing like that. He's gonna have to really be aggressive and go after him if he wants to make if he wants to make a difference in the fight and become champion again.
Okay, thank you, Gerald, and I'll pass it back to Joey.
Okay, Gerald. Literally the last two questions I've got for you now before I let you go. I have to ask this to everybody we speak to from overseas. Who's your favourite UK fighter of all time?
Lennox Lewis. Lennox Lewis, hands down. He's my favorite fighter of all. Besides Muhammad Ali and everything that he meant to boxing and what he meant to this country, Lennox Lewis is a guy that I look to for video, for his boxing style, his critique, his aggression, his just overall style. I try to I take a lot from Lennox Lewis, and that's the guy that I watch. So whenever for this fight, I watched Lennox Lewis versus Ray Mercer. He's a tough, gritty guy, and he lays it out on the line. And you see him when he's tired and he keeps working. And I love Lennox Lewis, and he's a true champion, and I'll always watch him, and I appreciate him very much.
Yeah, he always said that Ray Mercer had the best chin out of everybody he fought, and also Malik Scott. He really learnt most of his stuff off of Lennox Lewis. And lastly, the thing I'm gonna let this finish on just before we sign you out. A message to any of your UK fans that are big Gerald Washington fans.
Once I take over the United States, all the champions here and all the best fighters here in the U.S., I like to come over to the U.K. and mix it up with the best fighters from the country and put on a great show for you guys. I love boxing. I can't wait to come to London, and my mom is a great big tennis fan, and I can't wait to bring her out to Wimbledon.
Excellent stuff. Okay, thank you very much for giving us a bit of time, Gerald. We wish you the absolute best of luck for the 27th. We'll speak to you again in the future.
Thank you very much. You guys have a good day.
Okay, of course, we did part one. We did the review part on this show. Then we spoke to Kid Galahad. We then brought you into part two, and we spoke to Gerald Washington just then. We're now going to bring you our third and final guest on this week's show. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome, fighting on the Scott Quigg versus Carl Frampton undercard for the vacant Commonwealth featherweight title, it's Mr. Isaac Lowe. Isaac, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks very much for having me. How are you doing? Good?
Yeah, very good. Thank you very much. I want to talk about your fight, of course. You're fighting on the undercard of Quigg Frampton. How much does this mean to you to be fighting on such a massive fight undercard?
Oh, it means a lot. Obviously, as a boxer, you dream to be fighting on big shows, and obviously, bigger shows you fight on, the more people get to see you and see your talent. So, yeah, it's a great opportunity for me to go on there, and it's a dream to fight on such a big show. What it is.
And how much do you know about your opponent? Because, of course, he's got a record of 14-2, a good record. And, of course, you're fighting for the vacant Commonwealth featherweight strap.
Yeah, Marco's a good kid. He's fought some decent kids. He's been beat twice, as you said there. I think he got stopped once by a unscored journeyman, but I think that was unexpected. But everyone has bad days. Yeah, he's a good, powerful kid. They all rate him highly in Scotland, in Belfast, I should say. Got the words mixed up. They all rate him quite highly over there, and he's a big threat. But we'll still see on Saturday night. I think I've got the tools to beat him. I know I've got the tools to beat him. I think we're all-round better fighter, what he's been going on, he thinks he is. So Styles is going to make fights, and we're going to both get in there and give it our all.
Excellent stuff. Of course, would you say this is probably the toughest fight of your career so far?
Yeah, by far is. You know what I mean? I'm fighting for the magnitude where the fight one fighting on the show, and fighting for the vacant Commonwealth title. Obviously, by far, it's my biggest step, and it's my biggest fight. Yeah, Mark was my toughest opponent up to now.
Okay, and obviously on the domestic scene, slightly up in level at the moment. You've got the likes of course, Lee Selby, Josh Warrington, Ben Jones. How long would you like before you start getting these types of fights? When are you ready for these types of fights, Isaac?
Oh, well, you got I don't see too much of this Ben Jones. I'm the first I've heard of him, to be honest with you, but I've heard he's a decent kid. Josh Warrington, Lee Selby, they're all miles in front of me at the end. People just forget I'm 22 years age. You know what I mean? I've just turned 22. This is a big fight now, what I've got for the Commonwealth title. So, do you know what I mean? We'll just take step by step. When I'm ready to fight them, I'm ready to fight them. But I can't look no further than Marco at the weekend. I'm not on here to call people out and fight. If the money's right, it's all about money in it. Do you know what I mean? At the end of the day, I need to pay bills and that. So if money's right, I'm rattling my life. The time's right for me to fight them. We'll fight them all, and we'll just fight when I'm ready. Do you know what I mean? I'm still maturing into the weight. I'm still developing the weight. Me man strength, as I say. So Do you know what I mean? I'm still learning the game. This is only my 13th fight, remember, do you know what I mean? So you don't want to just jump in the deep end too soon. When you're up there, you want to make sure you're ready for it all.
Yeah, definitely. I couldn't agree more. Of course, you've got a very close knit relationship with the Furies. I just wanted to just ask you. Of course, you got Tyson Fury toying with the media this week, saying that he's been eating hedgehogs. A lot of all these save the hedgehog communities and foundations are adding him on Twitter and really they're really angry at him. Why is it that all the media seem to take everything he does and says so seriously when it's clear that he's just winding them up?
Well, I don't know. They're just obviously there to write stories, aren't they? They're bored. In my eyes, they've got nothing else but to do because everything he generally opens his mouth and says, he's in the front papers or he's all over the press. But then again, if anyone else says it, it just goes on one ear and out the another. So obviously they've got something. They don't like Tyson for some reason. Don't know why. Maybe he's a traveller. I don't know. But they're definitely all against him. They shouldn't. I just don't understand why, because he's an heavyweight champion of the world. He's done miracles for us, do you know what I mean? So I don't know why they're against him, to be fair.
Yeah, it's true what you're saying. We had Kid Galahad on this show just a little bit earlier, and he was saying that, Tyson Fury's win over Vladimir Klitschko was probably one of the biggest wins, if not the biggest win in history for English boxing, for British boxing. So yeah, definitely. Of course, there's so much talk of the rematch happening. They're not sure if it's happening in Dubai, if it's happening in UK. That's the latest I've heard. How do you see this rematch going, Fury and Vladimir? How do you see this fight playing out?
I think Tyson beat him even easier this time now because, as I say, he's going to be confident now knowing he can beat him. He went over to Germany and beating him in his own backyard. So I think if it does happen over in England, I think Tyson is going to be more confident and I think he'll go forward more. But Klitschko's clearly, and not by me, but anyone says he's got to come forward and try and make a fight. Isn't that Tyson who wins all day long comfortable? Do you know what I mean? I don't think there's too many heavyweights on the planet that can beat Tyson Fury. To be fair, he's 6'9", he's awkward, southpaw, punches, orthodox. He doesn't know what he's doing himself half the time. So Klitschko needs a good game plan and a lot better game plan than last time.
Okay, and the last question I've got for you now, Isaac. Of course, you're boxing on the undercard. Short and simple, who's going to win and why? Scott Quigg or Carl Frampton?
It's a 50-50 fight, but I've got said from day one, I fancy Quigg for some reason. It's got fight week and I've still not changed my mind. I'm going to stick with Scott Quigg with a late stoppage, I think. I don't know, I think they're both going to go, I think Quigg's the harder out of the two. No disrespect to Frampton. Frampton is a very hard hit and he's very, very, very talented fighter. I'm not taking no away from him. He's a very, very world-class fighter. But something's just telling me Scott Quigg's time. I don't know. He's very underestimated, Scott Quigg, for his talent-wise, and I've sparred him a few times, and I just fancy him. And that's who I'm going with. I'm going with the Northwest man.
Excellent stuff. Okay, Isaac, thank you very much for giving us a bit of time so close to your fight. I wish you the absolute best of luck for Saturday night. Hopefully next time we're talking, we'll be speaking to the new Commonwealth featherweight champion.
Yeah, awful. So thanks very much now, bud. Cheers.
Okay, now it's time to conclude episode 21 of the BoxHard podcast. I've been your host, Joey Coastman. Ayaz Sumra has been Ayaz Sumra. I just want to thank our listeners for listening this far. And once again, this has been the 4th show running that we've had 3 guests on the show rather than 2. So we're trying to do our absolute best for you boxing fans and you great supporters of this show. So a big thank you, especially on this week's show, to our 3 guests, Kid Galahad, Gerald Washington and Isaac Lowe. And the best of luck to all of our guests that we've had on recently that are involved in the fights on the 27th, whether they're in America or whether they're in the UK. Once again, thank you very much for listening this far and making this podcast the best podcast on the net. Please keep liking, retweeting, favoriting, subscribing and following. We'll be back next week with another big show. See you then. Take care.